Hey, good morning there. So I'm doing something a little bit different. Today, I'm going to do a little live drawing. And I started this drawing last night. I'm not quite set on it. And so I'm going to spend some more time working on it. I really want to kind of dial it in. It's just not at the level that I feel is finished. I should have spent a little bit more time on it last night, but I was kind of tired. So I'm going to continue working on it today and see what happens. Probably for like 40 minutes, maybe an hour. I don't know. I'm going to have to check the time or try to check the time. I don't know. I don't have a clock here, but I'm going to figure it out as I go. But I'm going to work on this. But before that, I'm going to share to some groups here. I'm going to share to you. Whoops. Share the greatest skull here. There we go. Share to you. Share to you. You. Boom. So I'm just basically pressing share to all these groups. Oops. Oops. Some of these groups don't like it when I post stuff. You know? But it is what it is. So I'm just going to be drawing the skull today. But first, I'm going to have a cup of coffee. I'm not going to drink a whole cup, but I am going to have a sip before I begin to kind of collect my thoughts. Ooh, that's hot. It's Wednesday, isn't it? Yeah, it's Wednesday. All right. Got my cup of coffee. So today I'm just going to play around with it. I wasn't too set with what it looked like yesterday, so I'm just going to basically kind of manipulate some of the contrast and just slowly build up some of the values. It's going to take me a little while to get started because usually it takes me about, unfortunately, like my drawings, I only spend about an hour, like up to 2 hours on them, but like the first 30 minutes is like almost warming up. It's like going to the gym, you have to go on the elliptical machine, you know? So like the first 30 minutes is like warming up. And so that's one of the issues that I'm going to be dealing with. And right now, because it's kind of morning, there's some value, like there's a cast shadow on this drawing more so than I want it to be, and it's causing some distortion. So I'm gonna do what I tell a lot of my students is kind of get your warming up, get your reps in areas that are really not necessarily irrelevant, but definitely, you know, you don't want to start jumping into a detailed drawing when you haven't kind of just got your hand motions and your like muscle memory activated. So I'm just going to kind of play around with this area because I really want this to be a darker area anyways. So I'm going to take some time and just kind of slowly add the tones there. Like I don't want to rush it and add too much tone, but I am definitely going to add it so that the contrast, I'm going to add it so the contrast is brought forward, you know. So I just wanted to do this because I didn't feel quite up to painting today. I already have my paintings done. The first layer is done, but I wasn't quite happy with the skull that I started last night. I just want to kind of finish it. Well, it's finished, but it's the thing about drawings, you can always kind of work on it more. And just keep manipulating the forms. For some odd reason today, the shadow here is bothering me. I think yesterday I didn't have it, last night I didn't have such a deep shadow. And so there's a shadow right here and it's really bugging me because I can see the marks I'm making, but not well. So I'm just thinking about when I need to start applying more pressure to my charcoal drawing. And I don't know. We'll see. But this has been, it's been a couple weeks since I've drawn on a skull, and people like them so much that I need to draw more. I'm actually almost, I think I only have 2 left. I'm almost out. So people really like them. So, and I don't mind drawing them. They're kind of fun to draw anyways. So I don't mind draw them. I think I just get drawing skulls. I just get them. Not really. It's like, I think the reason why I'm semi-decent at them is it's just the right amount of angular forms and right amount of curve forms. So I tend to draw kind of angular and curvy at the same time. So I think that helps. And I know this is a very slow process. There's a kind of a disconnect with drawing. People think that drawing is much quicker than it really is. And I think it has to do with, well, first off, YouTube, you're not doing a good, you're doing art a disservice by fooling all these aspiring artists, by having all these artists go online and doing all these time-lapse videos, and everyone thinks that like these time-lapse videos, like, oh, they expect it to be a long drawing, but the time-lapse video is kind of a little bit just manipulative because it's a lot longer than a time-lapse video. So like someone will draw a time-lapse video or present a time-lapse video, and then like, wait a second, this person did it in 30 seconds, but I assumed that probably the person spent about 2 hours on it. But it turns out these time-lapse videos are sometimes like condensed 20-hour drawings, you know? And everyone's like, what? How can that be? So there's a lot of disconnect with that. And I think I say this with my paintings, but I think it holds just as true with drawings. And it holds more true with like photorealistic paintings and just paintings in general. But the best skill you can have as an artist, in my opinion, is a high level of patience. You know, I think that's one of the best skills that a person can have. And probably in life too. Not, I wouldn't say in life, but definitely in drawing, having a high threshold of patience, or having a high threshold of doing like a very kind of mundane activity. Because look at this. All I'm doing is lightly pressing charcoal on this paper. And it's a very mundane. Thank you. It's a very mundane activity to do by yourself. So I think one of the best skills you can have is patience. And it's probably a recurring theme for me, because I didn't have as much patience as I do now. But so that's one thing. And by the way, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, I kind of get lost in the details. I think when I was doing this, when I was drawing this charcoal drawing last night, I actually, because it's been such a long time since I drawn a skull or drawn like in this manner, I was really kind of what would you call it? Reserved. I was really reserved on my execution. So I wasn't drawing as quickly or as assertive as I normally would be. Because it's been a few weeks, so I was just trying to warm up to this whole idea of drawing a skull. And so that's what I was doing. And that's why I am working on it tonight, this morning, is because I just want to kind of pop out more tones here. I just want to slowly add these tones in the background. And another thing about this slow application of charcoal is you have more control over the gradient that you're applying, and you're able to see the subtle changes that are occurring, or at least not in the photo, not in this video, but in real time, you're able to see the subtle changes that are occurring. And I'm able to make better objective decisions instead of just like pressing real hard and trying to rush it. So this is kind of like a little break from my normal live streams. Mostly, for the most part, you just see me live streaming paintings, but you know, this is me drawing today. Just drawing it up. It's also kind of nice. You can't hear it, but like the charcoal makes like a nice little whooshing noise. It's kind of funny. All right, I think I'm let's do a little bit right here. Let's put some. Another reason why I was probably a little bit more reserved is this is a different paper than what I normally use. Like my other pad of paper was in a car. My other drawing pad was in a car, and I didn't have access to it, so I had to use the B team, the B paper, right? And it's a little thinner, right? And it's got a little bit less tooth, so it has a different feel to it, and because of that, I was being a little bit more reserved with the application to kind of see what kind of subtle effects I'm going to be getting, you know. What I need to do when I have a spare moment, which is almost never, is I probably should take this, because I have this pad of paper here. I probably should put it in the center. I think the reason why I had it on the side here is because I used to have like an image right here, but I need it in the center. It just feels more comfortable. It feels unbalanced when I draw on the side like this. What's interesting about changing times, the time of day when you draw the same still life is, well, light's different. So the light is acting a little bit differently. And so, obviously when I was drawing it at night, the contrast was a lot darker on this side, but I'm seeing more of reflective light occurring. But now the core shadows, because it's more of a daytime, the core shadows are more pronounced because this area is lighter, which means this core shadow is a little bit more pronounced. So I can use that to my advantage for this area, this drawing. You know, to kind of push some of those core shadows some more. You know what I mean, Vern? I just watched this YouTube station called Cinemassacre, and all they do is it's the guy from the angry video game nerd, and I find it's hilarious because it's just these like regular dudes just talking about movies, and they kind of did a review on Ernest Goes to Jail, and they talk about Vern, or that guy, I don't remember his name. So what I like to do when I do these type of drawings is I like to play around with not just contrast, but line quality and value. So it's a mixture between using line and value to kind of emphasize areas that I want to. I'm also a huge proponent of cross contours. So I like to use forms that kind of, lines that kind of express the form a little bit more. So I'm pushing this area that had like this cast shadow on the background a little bit darker. And then I'm going to have to think about whether or not I want this shadow to be darker or lighter than this background shadow. Or similar. If it's going to be similar, then I'm going to have to express the line more. If it's not, then I can just use value to kind of express the line. And to be honest with you, like with this, when I did this drawing last night, I did not spend as much time looking at the skull as I should have been. I think my mind was somewhere else. And I was just kind of like, I was almost drawing automatically at that point, right? I was just kind of going through the motions and hoping things fall into place. I wasn't being as observant as I should have been. And that brings up the topic of muscle memory. I know it seems kind of odd, like what's that have to do with anything? This is not like a sport, but it is kind of in the sense. It's like if you draw an object over and over and over again, you build up kind of like a program. A program inside your the way that you apply the tones. And so your mind. So I'm gonna add a little bit of a highlight here. So your mind and muscle kind of create that form for you. I'm kind of making no sense at this moment. So I'm at the stage where I got to be very a little bit more tactful with where I'm applying my tones. You know, I guess I could be a little bit more. I could definitely be a little more heavy-handed if I'd like, if I think about it. But I'm trying to be. I don't know which tooth I'm drawing. That's pretty bad. I think I combined two teeth into one. I think that I did that for like at the moment I did it for like I don't know why I did that. I really don't. Maybe to kind of for aesthetics. The one thing about when I started drawing these skulls, I never used a charcoal stick like this, like a block stick. And I find them amazingly useful. They actually, people think like, oh, that's this block. How can you make fine lines? And I'm like, well, you can get pretty good lines with these things. They're pretty nice. They're bold, quick. You know, you can get them pretty crisp. So this is a thing about artists, is that you're constantly learning. If you draw every day or you paint every day, you're constantly well, thank you. You're constantly learning new applications of tones, how to improve your drawing. That's if you're thinking about it. I don't know. I'm not going to kind of generally sweep across everyone, but like for me personally, as an artist, I'm constantly improving, or at least I think I am. I hope I'm improving. If I'm not, oh man, that's going to be terrible. I think I'm improving. Maybe I'm under an illusion. Maybe I'm deceiving myself. But you're constantly improving, you're constantly learning. And because of that fact, I don't know where I was going with this. I'm just learning new things, that's it. So, one thing I've been doing as of late is with these drawings is I've never been a transitional, like a person that does a lot of gradients, like in their drawings. I've always been kind of blocky, but as of like the past year, I've been more quasi-academic with my work. So there's a little bit more transitional tones being shown, and that's a new thing for me. Normally again, it goes down with patience. I don't think I've kind of leveled up with my patience, which has allowed me to kind of increase my level of focus when I'm doing these drawings. Now it's different with my paintings, because the paintings there are the technique's kind of locked in, and I need to actually retract that because I don't want it to be locked in. I need to kind of push through that normalcy, that comfort level that I'm having with them right now, and think about what I should do with them next. So like, I was thinking about this morning about how am I going to pursue my next round of paintings, and I was like, well, I wanted to do the next round of paintings with a grayscale, blocky grayscale, like I did normally. But I was talking to myself like, well, that kind of defeats the purpose of what I've been wanting to do, which was change the palette. So I'm thinking maybe I just circumvent that and just go straight to like a not necessarily a bold color, but something that I have more of. So I have like this weird pastel green that I think might be interesting to see as one of the first layers. So right now I'm just kind of really darkening this area on the eye, the ridge, to kind of make the contrast between its cast shadow pop out. So I'm just playing around with that right now. And I made that decision when I first started this drawing. I was like, well, if I'm not going to work on it, if I'm not going to show the entire skull, what I really want is this area, this front area, to be really defined, or not like photorealistic, but definitely has more modeling of forms than the rest of the drawing. And so I was really trying to emphasize that when I was working on it. So notice when I'm drawing, this might be strange to you, but I'm holding the pencil really far away. I'm not holding it like I'm trying to write a story. I'm holding it really far away. And what I'm doing is I'm making it so that I'm getting the side of that pencil, the charcoal pencil, and not a fine tip point. So I'm making it so that occurs. And another reason why I'm doing is it allows me to have a lighter touch. Right? I'm being very, it kind of mitigates the pencil pressure that I'm applying. And since there's less pressure being applied, it means it's going to have a far better success rate. Whatever I mean by success rate, it's just going to make it look better. That's all it's really going to do. It means I won't put on dark tones real quick. So one of the things that we tend to do when we're first starting out is we tend to press too hard too quickly. We don't want that. That's a drawing no-no. We want to develop our contrast a little bit more slowly. That's what we want. What do we want? Better value drawings. When do we need it? Now. I probably need to darken this area more because this is too similar. Like this is all light and this is too light. Like this background area. So I'm gonna have to mess with that. It's way too light. If I could push this contrast down a little bit, let's see what happens if I just kind of knock it back with this charcoal. Yeah, that helps a little bit. So when I say knock it back, I basically mean knock the shadow, knock the value down a notch, right? Because even though there's reflective light happening over here, it can't, this is my opinion, I don't really know if it's scientifically true, but like it can't be brighter than this side. Just because, unless you have another light source on this side, flashing on the back side of the skull there, this side, even though it's reflective light, cannot technically be as light a tone as this area. Now, you can have artistic license, and that's what I try to do, but I want to knock this down a little bit so that it feels a little bit more contrasted. And I'm noticing that there's this area right here that I could probably darken up and create like a kind of like, it's a secondary core shadow, but it's definitely not, it's not the core shadow right here. It's a darker tone. And I'm going to use that to my advantage and kind of put that there. And see what happens, you know? So we'll just see what happens. I like using that term a lot with painting and drawing. It's like, let's see what happens here. The reason why I say that because subconsciously I don't want to have to have it preordained or predetermined that this drawing is kind of set in stone. So subconsciously, psychologically saying I'll see what happens kind of wires me to say, well, I don't know what the final outcome of this drawing is going to be. So I don't want to have kind of like a visual assumption what it should look like. So if I knew what it was going to look like, I wouldn't draw it, right? So I'm just kind of I always like to say that term. Let's see what happens, and noob artists don't like that. They don't like that. They're like, I want to know what it's going to look like at the end. Well, take a photo of it and print it on canvas then, I guess. I don't know. You won't know what it's going to look like until you work on it. And you cannot talk about the hypothetical in art. Well, you can, right? I'm not going to set that in stone, but I want to say, like, when you're drawing, and it's like this. If I were to start a live stream and start talking about the drawing that I'm going to draw, but don't even draw it, I'm like, believe me, this skull drawing is going to be the best. It's going to be the biggest. It's going to be the greatest. Trust me, it's going to be so good. That's my impression of whoever's going, like, you know what I'm talking about. It's going to be so huge. It's going to be the best skull ever. The greatest, right? And then I what I do is, like, and I don't even draw on it, and then I put my name on the bottom, right? And I say, this is $500. And everyone's like, where's the skull? Trust me, it's going to be drawn. When it's drawn, it's going to be the best skull ever. It's going to be so good. The greatest, awesomest skull ever. It's going to be so fantastic. It's going to be the most fantastical skull you've ever seen in your life. There you go. And then I don't finish it, right? So it's just like a hypothetical skull, right? It's like, you didn't even draw it. So what I'm basically trying to imply here is you just got to keep drawing, you know? And you got to keep growing. You know, that's one of the reasons why I do so many different things, is because I don't have like I guess one of the reasons why I do a variety of things, but at least I do them in series, so it kind of works. The one reason why I do a variety of things is because I don't have like one set like style or like things that interest me. I like painting. Yeah, I enjoy painting still lifes. I actually probably enjoy them painting them now more than ever. Where I was going with this, I don't know. One of the good and bad things of me is I have so many things that I'm doing that people think, like, what's this guy about? Why he's drawing skulls one day and he's doing abstract paintings the other day, and then the other day he's doing like digital work. He's doing digital portraits. Like, I think they're all the same to me, you know? They're all like one to me. The ideas, the application. The only thing though, like that's bad is because I look like I'm bouncing around everywhere. But the good thing is about that bouncing around is that I actually have a lot of different things that I'm doing, and I'm not as bored as I used to be. When I was doing like one series or one type of thing, I was like, this is not fun. I do not like doing burgers every day. I love burgers. I love painting them. But man, I want to do something else. I want to do a grid drawing, or I want to do this. I can't do anything else. I'm kind of beholden to this. And everyone's like, this is what you do as an artist. You draw all this, you do the same thing over and over again. Come on, man. It's like, how do you expect me to grow if I'm always doing the same thing? Come on, man. Let me do some skulls. Let me do some still lifes. Let me do them. I need them. I need the skull. I need to draw it. And I need to do some abstract work, because it's yin and yang. You're drawing from life, and then you do abstract work. You're doing something from imagination, and you're doing something that's kind of foreign to you. You know, I don't know. Maybe that's me. I just, it's a bad and good thing. It means that I'm able to do various types of things with a level of success that other people might have difficulty with. But it also means like I don't really have a vast body of work that are very similar. You know, it's getting there because I'm doing enough of each that people are starting to see this guy's doing skulls, he's doing abstract pieces, now he's doing some portraiture, and it's starting to resonate, and I like doing them, you know, and I like doing it. And so that's a net good. It's not bad. I like doing all this stuff. What I'm basically saying is I like drawing, I like painting, I love lamp. That's a reference to some people might not get that joke, but do you really love the lamp, or are you just saying that? Are you just saying that you love random things in the office? So the school semester is about over, which means I'll have more time to do more of this stuff. It's kind of nice. I had a good experience, fun classes, great students. It's kind of like a bittersweet, you know? You form like bonds or friendships with some of these students, you know? They're really nice, and then you gotta let them go, and you hope for the best, right? You really do. And I think that's a common misnomer, right? I don't think I think we you really do care, you know? I think sometimes though you might care more than you should, right? You really want them to succeed. I didn't mess around with these teeth as much as I like, so I'm going to mess with the coarse shadow here. Kind of emphasize that coarse shadow around the tooth. Because there's light coming in, and it's kind of making it a little bit more dense in the center. And since I'm doing that, what I'd like to do is I probably should darken this area. I really think that darkening this area, especially on the right side, is what I need to be kind of working on now. Again, I kind of bounced around with it, so I'm bouncing around with it, and I'm okay with that. What's good about it is there's one thing it's like a positive and negative thing. There's always some pros and cons to every technique, and when I talk about this type of stuff to my students, they're like, what's going on? What's the best way? Well, there's pros and cons, you know? There is no best way. There are only ways. How you get to the end is up to you. Or like how you get to the end it varies. It's not the same per each person. But I like to bounce around because it helps me see what areas I want to deal with as far as contrast. And I don't like, me personally, I don't like the style drawing where it looks like a printer, where you start from the top and it moves all the way down, or you start from like the eye and it kind of expands out. Like, it looks good, but I think this is just my opinion, I like doing it this way because I feel like I'm adding more layers to the image. So this is my like Photoshop version of adding layers. All right, and then I kind of like doing that. It makes me I I think, I don't know. I like that version a little bit more. I'm very silent now. I'm just trying to think about these small little details that I'm working on. There's a dark area right here that I'm going to overemphasize this area a little bit. I want that ridge to look a little bit more pronounced. There's some areas right here that could kind of push with some contrast. So a little thing that people don't you should think about is you should always think about modeling forms in the cast shadow some, because I think that we tend to think like the areas that are dark like this have no more form, and that's where we need to focus some a little bit more intently, a little bit more intensely, or with more intent. I don't know, whatever word you want to attach there. So right now I'm looking at these subtleties on the area where the nose would usually be at. And I'm looking for this thing called the coarse shadow, where it's it's like I like to call it like a dark band of shadow. And I'm trying to emphasize them a little bit more, because I really think that's going to really make the nose pop out, project forward more. At first I blanketed, did like a blanket cover with the tone, where it was just kind of more flat. But I needed to find these small coarse shadows a little bit more and push them forward. And maybe even do something like this. Oh boy, I gotta see how much time I have. What time have I been working here? It's 45 minutes. I think I'm gonna work for 15 more minutes. Then I I got a jet. I got to start preparing for classes. But we're gonna dial it in for another 15 minutes and just slowly tighten those forms. Not that they weren't at a good area when I first started, but I wasn't too content with it at that time. And as I said, when I started talking about this at the very beginning, I'm still very reserved. I'm being very reserved with the application of my tone. And I know that, but I have to kind of ease into that modality, I guess, and slowly build up the comfort level. An hour a day will keep the drawing doctor away. Thank you. But I've been rather reserved with how much charcoal, like the tones that I've been applying here, and just being very slow with it. I've been very reserved. With the application of tone. So, and I probably went a little bit too harsh there already because I've been trying to be, there we go, we're going to add some of this coarse shadow here. Think about drawing like this. Oh my goodness, I feel myself starting to slouch. Slouching over. So I constantly have to address that and kind of straighten myself up a little bit. So at this point, it's not necessarily near any end of the drawing, but since I know I have like 15 minutes left, I'm like dialing back the speed that I'm drawing, even more so than I already kind of dialed back. Just because I feel that I feel that I need to kind of just slow down and only express out a few forms here. So I'm adding these little lines that I'm kind of doing like little wisps with my hand because I just want to kind of express the form of the skull, the back skull that you can't see because it's being blocked by this foam block here. So I'm just kind of tipping my head over here to see where it kind of ends, where it's all in place, and then using that information. So this line right here doesn't belong to the skull. It was kind of made up. But that's fine. All right. I'm having a good time with this skull drawing. It's all very fun. I always find it so weird when people draw, they're always like, I don't have inspiration. It's like, oh gosh, I don't know what to help you, man. It's just like, what was it? Chuck Close's quote was like, inspiration is for amateurs. The rest of us get to work. So I just kind of work and hope that something kind of comes of it. I wish I could explain it better than like there's no just this is my opinion. I'm not gonna disregard that there are times where I'm like in the shower or driving along where like I have like an idea that just comes out of nowhere and I have to write it down. but I can't kind of depend on the act that there might be some sort of a force outside of saying, here's an idea, go with it. So I just kind of draw, and I kind of work and hope that the act, or the act of working, kind of propels the inspiration. And it kind of does. You know, I was like, I have this skull here, why don't I draw it? You know? And then I start drawing skulls. I'm like, these are kind of fun to do. You know, there's a lot of cool things I can kind of do with them, and having fun with them, with drawing them, and people seem to be like them as well. Apparently, skulls, people like skulls. I never thought this. Like, they like skulls. You know, they're an interesting form. You know, they got cool, like, they're very angular, but they're also curvy. You know, they got a lot of symbolism to them, I guess. I don't know. These are all like, these aren't my, like, these are just observations, I guess. I don't really know. I'm not a skull expert is what I'm trying to say here. So don't come to me and say, well, you know, Matt, you're wrong about skulls. They go on the human head. It goes on the human body. Whoa. Slow your roll. I'm just drawing the skull, okay? We can go to the symbolism of it later if you want, but I'm purely looking at it as an object that I can render and model using charcoal and pencil and paper. And, you know, that's just what I'm doing. Oops, I'm pressing too hard there. I already felt it. Yeah. So I'm just I only have, I don't know how much time I have left. Let's see. I have about 6 more minutes, and then I'm gonna call it a day on this, and then I'm not gonna work on it anymore. I think one of the good things about doing these type of drawings is treating them like experiences and not putting them up on like a pedestal or a platform that, like, this is the drawing that's going to end all drawings. More like, I just want to kind of get it in a place that feels visually sound. And it was at a place last night, but I wanted to work on it more. And so that's why I decided to kind of live stream it. Like, it wasn't as good as it could be, and I wanted it to be a little bit better. So that's why I kind of decided to work on it some more. And sometimes what I really need to be doing is this, where I'm moving the lines. I'm just moving, spreading on charcoal pigment and just trying to get this forward visually, and not worrying about whether what I'm doing is the correct action. I like to call it analysis paralysis, where we overthink our actions with drawing, and we hold the idea, the drawing, kind of captive, where we keep it in limbo because we're too afraid to keep moving the drawing forward. Or the opposite is you spend like 30 minutes on the drawing and you're like, it's done. Nothing can be done to it ever. And then holding that that mentality where what that basically means is it's not done. It's just you don't know like what to do next. And I think there's this that needs to be addressed a little bit more often. We as artists, we need to really think about like what's the next thing that can be done to this drawing. And if you don't have an idea, all that really means is you've gone past your level of knowledge, and you're just going to have to keep working on your drawing or start a new drawing and try to apply what you learned during the previous experience. Now, for some of you, that might mean that you have to write down what you did. Like some people are very analytical in that sense, but me, I just keep moving forward, and then I try to remind myself of the previous drawing and think about like, okay, so I did this during this drawing. I know that I didn't observe as much as I should have. I was a little bit tentative with the application of line. So I'm going to add a little bit more line here. I didn't emphasize the line as much as I'd like to. So now that I'm actually doing that as I'm talking about it. I'm emphasizing some line on this area. So I'm adding a little bit of line quality in this area. It's kind of emphasize the contrast and the separation between the background and the skull. No, I'm not adding the same line weight in every area. I'm just, I call it the hills and valleys. Actually, I don't even think that's my def term. I think I found that term. I call it the hills and valleys, but I think I took it from someone else. Where the curves divot inward, you make the line a little thicker because it's technically going away from light, and that creates the illusion of line quality or losing the illusion of shadow. Yeah, buddy, look at that. I don't know. I think I went a little heavy right there, but it is what it is. So all I'm really doing now is just, because I have only a few minutes left, is I'm just emphasizing certain lines. Adding a little bit more contrast, making things pop out a little bit more. Yeah, just little bitty things that I was omitting. So one of the things about line quality that people kind of take for granted is or kind of misconstrue is when I say line quality, I'm not saying line quality is different than outlining the form. Outlining is just taking your pencil and outlining all the lines. I'm adding line variance, I guess. I'm adding line variety. So things that I want to emphasize a little bit more, or I want to kind of be projected more, stand out. You know? Yeah, look at that. It's kind of pops that out. Pops that what is it, orbital? I don't remember. Cheekbone. How much time I have left? See if I have 1 hour. Oh no, I'm out of time. I don't want to keep working on it. I want to keep working on it. Let's do a few things. Maybe if I emphasize this ridge a little bit more. Separate it from the eye socket some. Emphasize this a little bit more. If I emphasize right here, I'm just gonna all right. I think I'm going to emphasize right here. And I want to tighten up this line on the nose some. It feels a little soft. And I probably tightened it up too much, but that's fine. I don't mind it. It looks kind of nice. I think I'm done. I say that as I'm adding more tones to it, you know? I'm like, I think I'm done with this. And then I'm like, I can just, maybe a little bit more charcoal, right? And then, but I really need to get going. I don't want to let it go. Yeah, so I'm really edging closer to being finished because I've already spent I spent quite a bit of time on this drawing already, and I gotta try to keep up with my methodology, or like my drawing code, which is don't hold it so precious that I can't start a new drawing. Right, so I got to be able to kind of move on with it. But right now I'm seeing so many things. Just don't want to move forward. So I'm gonna keep going. I don't know. I'm in a conundrum. Because it's going so well that I want to keep working on it, but also time is an issue. I probably should stop and start a new drawing and just do another one like this. I'll probably spend a little. I'm not going to spend any more time on it. It's done. Let's just rinse my hands and start a new drawing like Thursday or something. But I like it. It looks good, right? Turns out pretty good. It's not bad. But I have to move on with the day, and I have a lot of stuff I got to do. So, anyways, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate you taking time out of your morning to watch me draw and kind of listen to me jabber on. But, you know, this is it for the day. For this drawing, I got to move on with the rest of my day. Have a wonderful Wednesday. All right, take care.